Once upon a time, in a calm forest pond, lived a wise old turtle. Now, this was quite a peaceful place, until one hot summer day, when two fishermen came to the pond. They looked at the water and said, "My, what a great place to go fishing. We'll come back tomorrow with a net and catch them all." Now, by some stroke of bad luck, a young frog happened to be sitting right next to these men, and he heard everything they said. So he quickly hopped away and rushed to tell everyone else about the impending danger. "Oh, my friends, you have to hide," the frog croaked. "The fishermen are coming tomorrow with a big net to catch us all." And as you can imagine, panic immediately began to spread. All the little fishies started frantically darting around the pond. The otters grabbed their babies and hid in the tall reeds. Even the lazy snapping turtles retreated into their shells and hid in the muddy bottom. But our wise old friend here just sat still and calmly observed everything that was going on. And then, after everyone had calmed down a bit, the turtle called for a meeting. He said, "Everyone, listen up. I have a plan." So, that night, when the moon was shining bright, the turtle went around and told every animal to dig a hole in the mud and bury themselves deep inside. "You need to hide your scent," he said. "They're coming for us specifically because they smelled our fishy odor. So, we need to make ourselves smell like the mud." "You may think this is crazy," the turtle said, "but trust me, this is our only chance of survival. So, please, follow my instructions." And after hearing his wise words, everyone agreed to do it. By sunrise, all the animals had dug themselves in and made their homes underneath the water, nice and cozy. Now, the next morning, the fishermen came back to the pond just as predicted. They had their nets ready and were very excited to catch some breakfast. But as soon as they began pulling in their nets, they saw something strange. There wasn't a single fish to be found. One fisherman scratched his head. "Yesterday there were so many fish here. What happened?" He tried casting his net again and again, but each time it came up empty. So, in the end, they both gave up and decided to move to another pond. As soon as they left, the turtle crawled out from his hole, stretched his legs, and happily swam around in the fresh water. The fish came out of their holes too and thanked the turtle for saving their lives. But suddenly, a grumpy voice yelled, "Hey, what's the big idea? You scared me half to death. I thought I was gonna be caught." It was the young frog who had been hanging around earlier. "I tried warning you, but you wouldn't listen," the turtle replied. "I told you to dig a hole and you didn't want to. I even told you why you needed to dig a hole and you still didn't want to. And now you're complaining that you almost died." The frog hung his head in shame. From that day on, the frog never doubted the wisdom of the turtle. In fact, if you ask any of the animals living in that pond today, they'll all tell you how wise and helpful the turtle is. For example, there was once a family of beavers who moved into the forest nearby, and they had no idea how to swim. Of course, this was a big problem, because there was lots of water in this part of the forest, and one day, a baby beaver was playing by the bank and accidentally fell into the river. He struggled to keep his head above the water, but it was clear that he would soon become the supper of a hungry otter or a heron if he didn't get some help. At this point, a wise old turtle saw him struggling and immediately swam over. The turtle knew exactly what to do. He went under the little beaver and pushed him with his strong shell until he reached the river bank. Once the baby beaver got out, the turtle repeated the process with the rest of the beavers, and before long, the whole family was safely on land. Then the turtle turned to the mother beaver and said, "If you want to live near the water without becoming the food of a predator, you must learn how to swim. Otherwise, it's simply too dangerous. I can teach you and your family, but you must practice every day." And of course, the mother beaver gladly accepted his offer. After a few weeks of lessons, The whole beaver family was swimming like real otters. "Thank you so much, Mr. Turtle," the mother beaver said. "If it weren't for you, my family would probably be extinct. Now, I could tell you about hundreds of other things the turtle did to help the other animals, but that would take all day. Instead, let me just finish with this last story. One day, a curious fox came to the pond and shouted, "Hey, Mr. Turtle, I heard you're super smart. I have a riddle. If you can solve it, I'll give you a big, juicy fish deal." "Deal," said the turtle. "All right. Here's my riddle. A man is walking along in the forest, and suddenly his foot starts bleeding. He looks down and sees that there's no wound, but he's still bleeding. So, I ask you, Mr. Turtle, how does that happen?" The turtle thought for a moment. I think I know the answer to your riddle. Let me tell you what I think. This man is most likely wearing socks. When he took them off, he cut his feet and didn't notice it. Now, the inside of the sock is full of blood, and when he put his socks back on, he doesn't feel anything. But if he takes them off again, he can see the blood. Does that make sense? The fox couldn't believe his ears. "You're right," he said. "It makes perfect sense. You win the fish." And from that day on, the turtle and the fox became good friends. After hearing all these stories, you might think the turtle is the greatest animal in this forest. Well, maybe he is, but remember, the frog also played an important role in saving the fishes, and the same goes for the turtle. If he hadn't listened to the frog, they might have all ended up dead. So remember, friends, in this world, sometimes wisdom can be more powerful than strength, but sometimes strength can be more powerful than wisdom. So it really depends on the situation. But one thing's for sure, being a team player always helps. Now, as for the moral of this story, well, that's up to you to decide. What do you think this story teaches us? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this fables and folklore retelling, please hit the like button. Thank you for watching and see you next time.